exercising our dogs and our puppies is a really crucial component of their life. But are you doing it in a way that promotes learning? Are you doing it in a way that makes your training job easier in the long run? That's exactly what we're going to talk about today on the McCann Dogs podcast. Today, I want to talk about games that teach and tire.
Oh, puppies or adult dogs?
Both, actually.
Both?
A little bit of
Okay.
both. You know, I mean, when I started thinking about this topic, it was more along the lines of puppy because it sort of popped into my head as I was doing this with Levon, right? Last night, I got home. I'd had a long day. I was tired. I knew I needed to do something with him.
Right.
And I didn't want to commit to a big thing, but I knew I needed to drain some of his energy, satisfy him a little bit, you know, make sure that he was happy and tired out, so then he would relax and I could relax as well.
Right,
so it was really more geared towards puppies when I thought about it, but it is absolutely applicable to our adult dogs as well.
Yes,
and
because they have energy to burn.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, even Honda, who's fast asleep right now at 15, he you know, if I'm out all evening, you know, say I go out for supper and then I go to a concert or something, you know, you come home at 11 o'clock at night and Honda's like, hey, I've been all by myself for, 6 or 7 hours. Like, let's do something.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Exactly. You were out there partying, but guess what?
Right.
I've been bored sleeping here at home.
Right. Yes.
So what you got for me? Yeah. Well, and the thing is with our adult dogs, a lot of the times we can get away with that where if I came home after a long evening out or a long day at work and I was just really tired, maybe I give my adult dog a chew and that's going to be enough. Maybe I just say, you know what, buddy, not right now. Go lie down. And then they take their cues from that. Like Ned, for example, at 7, he definitely needs lots of exercise still. There's no question there, but it's deferrable with him.
Yes.
You know, he definitely can be somebody that I say to, you know what, we're just going to take a relaxing walk right now, which obviously physically does not burn off a lot of steam with the dog, but it gives him an opportunity to get out and sniff and, wander around.
Yeah, different environment.
I would be walking him off leash on my property. It would give him an opportunity to sniff and we go for a little walk and that satisfies him enough. If there is an opportunity to, he definitely will. And we get to practice our recall, which is always a good thing. But yeah, I mean, basically that dog, I couldn't do that a couple of days in a row with him. But I would get away with it for a day if I decided, you know what, it's just too much. Today, you're having a boring day. You're not doing anything. Like, let's hang out and watch a movie together. That's sort of the energy that you're going to expel.
Right, yes,
but with a puppy, it's a lot harder to get away with that.
And
even
it's
days,
not
fair.
Yeah, and even days when you're not feeling well.
Yes.
Like if you with COVID, I'm sure there was a lot of people who got brand new puppies and then came down with COVID because that all kind of happened at the same time. And, you would know from experience. It's like, wow, this puppy does not understand that I don't feel well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And that's the truth. So, so last night when I got home, I was like, I ran through my idea bank of what I wanted to do with him. And we went out and we did some of the games that we're going to talk about today. I spent maybe, 10, 15 minutes. And then he was happy as a clam. Why are clams happy?
Are clams happy? Why are clams so happy?
Clams, let us know if you're happy.
If you're, yes.
Are you a happy clam?
The only clams I've ever really met are clams that are going to be eaten.
Oh,
so I don't think they'd be a happy clam.
Yeah. Well, and like you're not really properly introduced in that setting.
Yes.
So
yes. Now I've never eaten a clam. So,
but you've met some.
But I've seen some. I've seen clams getting eaten. So.
There you go. Well, we'll have to find out. This is now inquiring minds want to know. Where did that expression come from? I think it's because of the shape of the shell and it looks like a big smile. Oh. No, I would think it's just that it looks like a smile, so it looks happy. But
we will have
maybe I'm wrong.
We will have to do some detective work on Google.
Yeah, and if you know the origin of the expression "happy as a clam," let us know.
Yes,
let us know in the comments. All right, so. Back to business. So yeah, he was happy. He relaxed. We chilled out for the rest of the evening. I caught up on, my energy levels and life went on from there. And then, today's been a much busier day for him and much more active. So most days are like that for him. But some of those days where, you just don't have it in you, these are some great ideas. So last night we actually went out and did, we call them digs. So basically it's like a cone wrap or I was using a tree in this situation. So basically, I've just taught him to run around a tree. So I'll send him, and he'll basically just do a U around the tree, which is lots of fun. We do this with cones in class. We do it, for fun activity. We do it for foundation games, for things, all sorts of great activities that we do for that. So basically I just did some digs where I would send him around the tree from further and further away.
Right,
so he's using his mental work. He's using some physical work as well to run to the tree. And then of course, once he wraps the tree, I would say, yes, turn in the opposite direction and either throw a toy in his line of travel. So he gets to run out from the tree and fetch the toy and bring it back. Or I would run with a tug toy and let him catch the tug toy, and then we'd have a tug.
Yeah.
Either way, it's a game that we're both engaged in. And this is the goal. So when I have these moments where I think I really want to do something with this puppy to drain some energy, but I don't want it to just be mindless anything, right? I don't want to just get out there with a Frisbee and throw the Frisbee for him to exercise him. He needs some mental work as well. And he's at the point right now where everything is training, right? He's 5.5 months old when we're recording this, and he's just learning through everything. So I take every opportunity I can. Usually if we're doing games like this, I want there to be some sort of a learning element to it as well. So that's really my goal in these sessions, is to make myself feel like I've gotten some training work done, as well as drained some energy, as well as had some fun and just done some playing with my puppy. So I think that's another answer for the adult question too. It's much easier with our adult dogs. We don't necessarily have this quota of training that we want to get done and like amount of information that we want to get into them, and we want to make use of every moment. So with our adult dogs, like with Ned, I would just go out and throw the Frisbee for 10 minutes and then he's happy and tired and I'm no worse for wear, and then we go and chill out and watch a movie together, right? So I think we get away with it a little bit more with our adult dogs. So so that dig game basically drained his energy. It also helped work on our retrieving skills. It helped work on our response to name, because of course, as he was running around the tree, I would call his name and run away with the tug toy so he could run and chase me and catch that tug toy. And it basically ended up being the answer to the problem that we had in that moment. There was some learning there. There was some mental stimulation.
And it promotes teamwork. It's a team game. Yes.
Absolutely. So with that in mind, some of the other go-to things.
Well, I was just going to say, teamwork is important. That's an important aspect.
So important.
So many people come home from work and opened up their back door and let the dog in the yard, and then they go and watch TV. And there's no teamwork there at all. The dog's just learning that, hey, I entertain myself.
Exactly. Well, and here's the thing, especially with our youngsters, they're always learning. And these things set the tone. And that's exactly why I don't want it to be a mindless activity. I want it to be something that promotes engagement. I want it to be something that makes his little brain work a little bit, as well as his little body. And that teamwork that you're talking about, like every opportunity I have to play, bond, build the team with this puppy, I'm going to take.
Those are all wins.
Absolutely. So with that in mind, games that teach and tire, what are some other things that you think about in terms of that? Like, what is, if you had a puppy, let's say, so not talking about Honda.
Well, with a puppy, I'm going to, as you said, a lot of it is all training. So maybe I am not teaching the retrieve. So a lot of people just expect dogs to retrieve, and a lot of dogs aren't natural retrievers. A lot of times it has to be taught. And I don't like leaving retrieving to chance. I like everything to be to be structured. So I will, teach the retrieve, and the dog is getting some exercise. I'm working on that retrieve. So that's something I'll start off with a puppy too, is doing a proper retrieve with the dogs. And I don't mean a formal one like an obedience.
No.
I just mean all the components, are fun, and they're there, and I'm not letting the dog run off with the toy. I'm not letting the dog lie down and chew on the toy. It's all about going out, getting the toy, bringing it back to me for a fun game of tug of war.
Exactly.
We're going to work manners. We're going to work on that out. So it's exercise, but it's also mental training for the dog and learning impulse control and emotional control.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. And I'll tell you, I have had almost exclusively retrievers since 2001. I started with my Rottweiler, and she was there until 2009. But I've had a lot of tollers now, and I've only had one. Only one of those retrievers had a natural retrieve that I was happy with.
Right.
They had the desire to run out and grab the thing.
Right.
But they didn't have that natural inclination to just sort of turn on their heels and bring it back.
Right.
So I've had to teach every single one of my dogs, with the exception of Ty.
Mm-hmm.
My Tyler was a
Right.
natural retriever.
Yeah.
He honestly, I really, in terms of all the things that we usually have to work hard on with our other dogs, like building engagement, building relationship, building drive to work for us, desire to work for us, all those things,
Right.
I've had to work hard with all of my tollers except for Ty. Ty was my one gimme dog.
Right,
He was
yeah.
my one dog that came just adoring me from the starting
Right,
gate.
yeah.
And I don't know how I got that lucky. It literally started from 4 weeks on. You know, I would go and see that litter every week and go and visit with them. And from 4 weeks on, when I was there, that dog just stared at me and like would run to me, and just like there was just something.
Right,
There was
yeah.
already something there, and I have no idea what it is. So I could never articulate it, but there was something very special in our relationship right from the get-go.
Right,
And I
yes.
don't know how it came to be, but it was magic. But he didn't make me a good trainer, that's for sure, because I didn't have to work hard
Right.
with
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. I
You know,
know.
there was
I
never-
know that we
Yeah.
see that in class often. We see somebody who the dog has been just one of those great dogs.
Yeah.
And then they get into a higher level and suddenly the dog starts messing up and they have no clue
Yes.
what to do
Yeah.
because the dog never presented any issues at the beginning.
Exactly.
So, yes.
Honestly, like if Ty was my benchmark, I would think like, why do people think dog training's hard?
Right,
This
yeah.
is such a piece of
Right,
cake. Like
yep,
he truly
yep.
was that dog.
Yep.
Luckily, he was not my benchmark or my first dog, so I didn't have that false sense of security. My Rottweiler was quite a challenge for me, and I mean, understandable. It's
Right,
that's a
yes.
strong breed, and as my first dog, it probably wasn't the wisest dog to be my first dog. But you know what?
You trained through
We
it.
did great.
Yes.
We did
Yes,
great.
you
I rolled
did.
up my sleeves. I figured out how to do it.
Right.
And I loved the experience so much. But
Right.
yeah,
and you
I
didn't give up.
digress.
So many people
No,
give up
definitely
when
not.
it doesn't come easy.
Yeah, no, it wasn't an option for
Right.
me. Our family is not the family that gives up on animals. Like we had cats, and I could go into stories about the cats that my mom, before we got into dogs, before we finally got a dog,
Yeah.
the cat stories. Yeah, there was a lot of them. At any rate, yeah. So retrieving, back
Right.
to retrieving. In terms of natural retrieve, I think that's a very fairly few and far between that
Right,
we
yes,
get that. And
yes.
I think that people make the mistake with retrieving of, well, there's a couple of mistakes. Actually, let's dive a little bit into retrieving because I think this is
Right.
this is an important skill for dogs to have.
Right.
It's a great skill for dogs to have for all the reasons you mentioned,
Right.
making sure that you can engage and you can get that toy back
Right.
and you can establish some rules around
Right,
it.
yes. And
So-
it can evolve into so much too. I know one of our online students, she's trained her golden, I think, is it to get the dryer, to get laundry out of the dryer and help her carry it back, or
So
to carry
many of
dirty
our-
clothes to the dryer?
Our members only students. So it's sort of things spread like wildfire in there.
Right,
So
yes.
one student will come out with this trick and all the other students,
Right,
of
yeah.
course, will want to try it. And at one point it was retrieving a bowl from the cupboard. That
Right.
was the big trick everybody
Okay,
was
yeah,
working on.
yeah.
One of our students did do the laundry thing as well. And we spent a month talking about back chaining and creating some of
Right.
these tricks that have long chains to them. So it was a really good learning experience. But yeah, a lot of our MMO students, our monthly members only students, were teaching their dogs to open the cupboard, take out a bowl, close the cupboard, or vice versa. Open the
Right.
cupboard, put the bowl
bowl
away,
in, yeah.
close the cupboard. So how helpful is that?
And I saw some of the students were teaching their dogs how to play cornhole a few weeks ago.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, I'm sure I saw it. So yeah, the dog was picking up the beanbag and running over to the cornhole hole. The cornhole hole.
the cornhole
and
hole.
dropping the beanbag in the cornhole.
I feel like we need a song
Yeah.
to celebrate the cornhole hole.
The cornhole hole. Yes, yes.
I don't
But
know
I-
what it is though. The
But all-
cornhole hole. It's like old gray mare. She ate what she used to be.
yeah.
Cornhole hole. It ate what it used to be.
But,
I
you know,
think we're
that's-
digressing again.
I think so too. Yeah, and but those are all tied into retrieving, teaching
Yeah.
a dog to pick up an object and to
Absolutely.
either bring it to you or to put it where it's directed.
Yes.
Like, so many people, teach their dogs to clean up their own toys.
Yeah.
Or if you think about special skills dogs that are trained to help people in wheelchairs and people who are disabled. Those dogs are trained to, turn off light switches. They're trained to
Yeah.
pick up socks, help people take off their socks, like
Yeah.
things like that. So
Don't most puppies do that already? Pick up socks
They
and
do
pull your
and pull
socks off your
off.
feet?
That's true, yes. But they don't do it when you want them to.
Not a trained skill, but a fun. I don't know if it's a skill. It'd be a party trick maybe. But yes, when you're actually training those skills to make them into something, it's a very different thing and lots of great mental work. So let's talk about starting a retrieve.
Okay.
You're right. Retrieves can encompass so many things.
Yes.
I love that you brought that up. I do field work with my dogs, so we do both, live retrieving, and they'll pick up dead retrieves, which are basically retrieves
that aren't moving. Yes.
That too.
Right.
But retrieves that they haven't seen fall. Blind
Right,
retrieves are part of the equation. Working on retrieves that are just sitting still and boring. The dog's still going to pick that up. You've done fly ball with your dogs. That's a very elaborate retrieve.
Yes.
Explain fly ball in a nutshell
So fly ball is a relay race with 4 dogs. And basically you release the first dog. It runs and jumps over 4 jumps. And then at the end of the 4 jumps, there's a contraption called a fly ball box. And it's basically a spring-loaded ball propellant. So the dog hits the box, compresses the springs, a plunger pops the tennis ball out, the dog grabs the tennis ball in one fell swoop, and then turns around and runs back over the 4 jumps, and then the next dog goes. And the team that can send 4 dogs the fastest without any errors wins.
Perfect. And this happens so quickly.
Oh, it's fast.
The world team record at this point
can send like 4 dogs in 14 seconds.
Yeah.
So
they're so quick.
So Google fly ball racing if you're interested.
And then turn down your volume before you press play.
Oh, yes, because it's basically organized, chaotic barking.
It is.
Yes, the dogs love it. They truly love it.
And a lot of handler yelling, right?
Yes.
Because you're calling your dog over this loud enviment of barking.
Yes.
And they're already 45 feet away from you when they hit the box.
Yep.
And you're trying to get just that little fraction of a
tenth of a second.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
So big, loud voices and
Yes.
lots of running and lots of barking, and it's just chaos.
It's a very noisy sport.
It's fun chaos.
Yes,
it is
fun
organized chaos.
Yes.
Perfect. So when I'm starting the retrieve, I always back chain it basically. I start with the tug portion of it first. How about you?
Yep, same thing. So just for us, the retrieve isn't getting the toy. The retrieve for the dog should be bringing the toy back to us. That's the end game for the dog. And we want the dog to go, I need to grab that toy, get it back to Christine or Shannon as fast as I can, because that game of tug is the be-all and end-all.
Exactly. Absolutely. So I think that a lot of the times people will sour their dogs to liking toys, because when they approach things like the retrieve, they'll either just throw the toy out there and hope that the dog has that natural retrieve, which again, I find is a fallacy. People expect that their dogs are going to have natural retrieve, and I find that those dogs are very few and far between.
Yes.
So
it's very much a Disney type perfect puppy. I
need to live in Disney someday.
I want the animals that clean your house for you. Remember,
yes, I would.
Snow White whistle and all the animals come and clean the house.
I want to put my arms up in the air and have the birds come and drop my clothing onto my arms, onto my that sounds good. And they can come and brush my hair. The squirrels,
little mice that sweep your house. That's what I need.
All while singing.
Yeah, and it's
delightful.
It's delightful. I don't need the Wicked Witch though. Not the Wicked Witch.
It's true. There are some evils there.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I do like apples, so I might be tempted.
Right, yes. And every once in a while, it'd be fun to hang out with Prince Charming.
Oh, it would?
Yeah, go out for dinner, go see a movie, have a few drinks.
Do you know that Levon's puppy name was Prince Charming?
I didn't know that. Yep. I had no idea.
Because he had, and
he was
there
the
were
only
7
boy,
of them.
right?
He was the only boy, and they were all named after princesses. So he was, of course, Prince Charming, which I keep saying that I changed his name, but he is still quite charming.
Yes. It's funny.
Alrighty, so the retrieve portion. So what are you doing from that moment where your dog is tugging and you're having fun tugging? And actually, let's take it even a step further back from that. How are you getting your dog to tug to begin with? Because you're not just throwing the toy out there and hoping for the best, and you're definitely not
stuffing the tug toy in their face. Yes.
And that's a lot of times people will do that.
Oh, they do. Yeah.
They start shoving it towards the dog, expecting the dog to grab it, and the dog goes, "Whoa, what is that? That's overwhelming."
Right.
And then people go, "Oh, he doesn't like the toy."
Right, yes.
Or he's worried about it, or he's unsure about it. So how are you getting them to engage with the toy to begin with without getting overwhelmed?
I want to incite the dog's prey drive. So most dogs love to chase and pounce and grab things. We all know that from puppies. Like, that's one of our common puppy questions. The puppies are pouncing and grabbing my legs.
Yes. What do I do?
Yes.
What do I do?
Let's put it to good use. Let's use that drive to teach them to chase a toy. So I will get a long tug toy and I will pull it along the ground or drag it along the ground or wiggle it along the ground while my puppy's going, whoa, like that looks like a little mouse running around.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to be all encouraging. I might even take the toy and tie a rope to it. And so I can get a little bit more distance and it can roll around on the ground. Once the puppy has it in their mouth, I encourage them, tug, 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 and have so much fun. Then I work on my out command as well, too. But yes, I'm going to use the puppy's prey drive to incite it to play tug. I'm not going to stuff a toy in his face.
Exactly. And you're so much more likely to get a good reaction from your puppy if you drop that toy on the ground and then jerk it a little bit.
Right.
Make it move, right?
Yes.
And then as you're saying, like as they're chasing it, that prey drive wakes up and now we can either, calculate when we let them grab it. So what we want to do is build just a tiny amount of frustration in our puppies. So eventually I can make this frustration last longer so I can continue to contribute to drive. Because of course, if I frustrate the dog when they want the toy, they're going to want it more and more and more. And then when they're really like, oh my gosh, give me that thing, and we let them have it, we reward that they are trying hard to engage with that toy.
I always call that building hype. We want to build hype.
Love that. So building hype, let's say that. So if my young baby puppy has, just a split second of that experience where I build hype, I might just hold him back a little bit, tease him with the toy, and then let him go and move the toy and let him grab it, right? So just a tiny little bit of frustration where he gets to that point where he says, I really want it, and then he gets to have it, right? And then I'm going to make that a little harder over time, right? I'm going to hold him back a little bit longer. I really want it. Now I'm going to let him have it. So I might continue to build a little bit more frustration. I certainly don't want to go to the point. What I risk is that I don't want to frustrate him to the point where he loses focus on the toy and goes, oh, look, a piece of candy over there on the floor instead.
Yes.
Because puppies have short attention spans.
Oh, they do.
So I can get away with a much longer hype building session for my older dogs. But with my puppy, I want to make sure that I use that to my advantage, but I don't overuse it because I don't want him going, okay, you know what? You never let me go to get this toy. I'm bored. And fluff.
Yeah, exactly.
Squirrel.
One thing I'll do once the dog's getting reliable at tugging and has drive for the toy, what I'll often do too is I will kind of hold the puppy back and I will get them all hyped up and I'll throw the toy. And as I throw the toy, I push the puppy backwards and I run as fast as I can and I scoop up the toy. Yeah. So the dog's like, oh, I gotta try harder.
I gotta run really fast.
Yes.
I love that game. I do that with retrieving. You know what else I do that with?
What?
Returning home. So on my, I have 12 acres. So we'll be like wandering around the property. And then when I get close to the home property, I have a go home command with my dogs now so that, I can send them from wherever I am on the property, say go home, and they go running up on the deck, right? Levon is just learning this right now, so that's what I use as part of the incentive to run really fast.
Right. So who's a faster runner, you or Levon?
Oh, hands down. I literally, if I don't cheat like mad, he's beaten me every single time. His legs are he's got giraffe legs still right now. He's so lanky, and he moves really quickly. I have no hope of ever beating him.
So you don't describe your legs as giraffe legs?
I do not. No, it's far too long and elegant. I don't know. Maybe do. I'm trying to find the appropriate animal to describe my legs.
How about
it's
antelope?
Definitely not giraffe.
Antelope.
No, that's too graceful and elegant.
Ostrich.
Ostrich. Go with ostrich. I'll do it. I'll have ostrich legs. Oh my gosh, knobby and all weird. Yeah, let's do that. All right, so I'll push him back. I'll go, I'm going to race you, and I give him a little shove, and then I take off running towards the house going, go home. And he goes tearing. He beats me every time. He beats me every time. It's hilarious. But it builds drive for getting home. And I like the idea of being able to quickly send my dogs back up onto the deck just in case, I've run into an opossum on the property. I've run into a giant snapping turtle, which was fascinating, of course. But big enough that if the dog's got in its space,
Right.
it could do some damage to the dog. So like I like to be able to say, okay, go home and get them out of there right away.
Exactly, yes.
Just in case.
Yeah, you never know. Or you see, an unknown person driving up your driveway.
Yeah, that's a really good point too, actually. Yeah, for that too.
Yeah, or it's raining. It's
about the
raining and you
animals.
just got to get back out to the porch.
You're getting wet. You're getting wet. Honestly, we're all always so dirty. Like we live the life.
I didn't want to say anything, Shannon, but I'm glad you brought it up.
Sometimes
It's intervention time.
Sometimes when I get back from honestly, we get right into the bush.
Right.
Like we don't just stick to. I have mown paths.
Yeah.
I have paths that I mow and keep manicured and they're beautiful and easy to walk on. And I use those a lot when I need to stay clean. Right. But then in the opportunities that I have for us all to get dirty,
right,
we get dirty.
You should be in a Tide commercial. Tide, are you listening?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll do it. Alrighty. So back to retrieving. I think too, a lot of the times people will sour their dogs to the toy and to retrieving because as the dog comes back to them, they grab the dog or they grab for the toy.
Right.
And they think that they need to get to that toy so that they can get the tug. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. If the puppy doesn't make the decision to bring the toy to you, eventually when they get to the point where they can deke around you, they're going to deke around you. We don't want to teach them that we're going to tackle them for the toy.
No.
So where do you start your retrieve training?
Where
in terms of location.
Location. In an area that I can control completely. Perfect. So, probably in a hallway in my house where there's no distractions. It's just me and the dog and that toy.
Yeah.
And absolutely. I might have a rope on the toy too. Or a rope on my puppy.
Yeah.
Or both.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do the same thing. I set myself up in a way that they can't really run past me.
Right.
So there's a wall behind me or I barricade it somehow, but I'm not going to reach out and it allows me to let the puppy make a decision there, right? So they usually come running back in your general direction.
Especially if you're moving backwards. That helps draw them to you.
Yep, exactly. So I will either at that point get down nice and low and play along the floor so the puppy comes in nice and close with the toy. And then I might play a little bit with the toy, right? What I don't want to do is have the puppy bring the toy back to my general area and then me reach out and grab the toy from them because then they go, oh, you took the toy.
Right.
And
so it's overwhelming to the puppy,
too. It is,
yes.
Absolutely. And what we're trying to do here is we're trying to teach the puppy that we're not going to take the toy away from them. We're going to be a fun play addition to the toy. So if I snatch that toy and my puppy loses it, even if I snatch it and he loses it because I throw it again, it's not a good setup to nurture the retrieve because he goes, oh, you just took the toy and now it's gone again, sort of thing.
Yeah. I just brought that to you. Why did you throw it away?
Exactly. So what I'm going to do when he gets nice and close to me, I'm going to get down low or I might have another toy.
Right.
And I might encourage him to come close to me with the other toy and then he can tug the toy that I have. He'll drop the toy he's retrieving, tug the toy that I have, and it still fosters that idea of you coming back to me to get the engagement and the play going. And basically what it does is it sets the habit in motion. What I don't want to do, though, is reach out as they're running by and try to tackle them or reach out as they're running by and try to snatch the toy.
Right.
That is eventually going to teach my puppy that they want to stay further away from me.
Yes, because puppies love keep away.
Yeah, absolutely.
So many people, their dog picks up a toy and runs off with it. And that's actually one of the main retrieving issues I think we hear from people. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. So starting this right. And if you have a dog that you've already taught to retrieve and you've inadvertently taught them to play keep away with that toy, start again. Yep. There's absolutely no reason to keep along those lines.
Right. And I'll choose a different toy. So say my dog always runs off with his rope toy to play keep away. It's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to chuck this rope toy in the garbage because it's got bad mojo now.
Bad voodoo.
Bad. And I'm going to buy a new toy. And now this is the special retrieving toy. And we're not going to ever let anything bad like that happen to this toy. This toy is only going to be 100% all the time.
Yeah, yes. Absolutely. Yeah. And dogs do create those associations, right? Yep. That learning that they do. This is the toy we play keep away with together.
Right. Yep.
It's not that they're innately trying to be naughty. They want to play with you. Right. They're trying to engage with you by getting you to play keep away. What we need to do is we need to teach them a game that has us more involved and not in that
Yes.
that subordinate role of being the one that chases the puppy trying to get the toy sort of thing.
Yes.
So we never want to chase a puppy ever, ever, ever. We always want to teach our puppies to chase us.
Right.
The leader is the one that does the, hey, come and catch me if you can sort of thing.
Yes.
So if we're chasing our puppies, we're setting our puppies up to learn bad things. And actually, that brings me to one of my other games that I did with, I would say I did with Levon for the first, probably
Is it
month
a
or
chase
so.
you game?
It is a chase me game. Yeah, absolutely. So with or without a toy.
Right.
Puppies love to follow. They're sort of hardwired to want to stick with somebody that they will be kept safe by.
Right. Yes.
So whether that's another dog that they have confidence in or whether that's a human, we can use that to our advantage.
Yep.
And that chase drive that puppies have, that early instinct to chase that is practice for their prey drive for later on in life, right? That's why puppies are so playful.
Right.
They're instinctually, they're playing so that they can practice the skills that they will need to hunt and gather and do all the things that they need to do to keep themselves alive. Those are skills that they practice as youths.
Yep.
So this is what they're doing, is they're learning how to be adult dogs.
Right. Yep.
So they're going to do what's natural for them. What we need to do is say, hey, look, this is really fun.
Right. Yep.
So do you do this with your puppies?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
perfect.
As soon as I bring a puppy home, I'm woohoo, and I run away, and sometimes I'll get silly and I'll fall on the ground and the puppy can pounce on me, and I'm like, oh, you won, you caught me, and I fell down, and now we're having this big wrestling match, and so the puppy's like, oh my gosh, it's so much fun to chase humans.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
And that is a really good thinking skill, because we want our puppies to learn that we bring good things when they chase us, right? We also want to have opportunities to set the rules for the game. So with our young puppies, for example, if you were doing some chase, and we get this question a lot, which is understandable because lots of puppies would do it. If your puppy was chasing you and then started biting at your pant legs.
Oh, no, they can't do that part.
Exactly.
Right. Yes.
Exactly. So would you just stop playing that game?
No, I would teach them that they can't bite my pant legs.
Perfect.
There's, other fun things we can do.
Yeah.
So, sometimes they chase me just to a playtime. Other times they chase me maybe to a tug toy. But there's so many other things to do other than allowing the puppy to decide what they want to do.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And sometimes with our puppies, we want to pick our battles. So in a situation where I am teaching my puppy that it's really fun to chase me, it's going to open up a whole other can of worms if I now have to say, oh, you're not allowed to bite at my pant legs sort of thing. So I always have to sort of weigh, okay, is this an appropriate time where I'm going to address this behavior and discipline it? Or is this the time that I'm going to set things up differently?
Right.
So I'll tell you, one of the things that I spent a lot of time thinking about with Levon was how I was wearing my hair. Because he would constantly want to grab
hair.
at and
Yes.
bite my hair.
Yes.
So instead of having these nonstop battles with him over hair, when I was trying to establish relationship and trust and all this, all this wonderful stuff, I just put my hair up in a ponytail.
Why wouldn't you put on a bathing cap? That would take it all away.
You should have said, why wouldn't you shave
it's
your
good,
head?
And it's a good look. Yes, actually, yeah.
I don't have a nice skull though. I'm not. I don't. Some women would really, really suit shaved heads.
Some
I don't
women
think
look
I have a nice
really
skull.
good with shaved heads.
Exactly,
Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
So I mean, sometimes you pick your battles. I would wear tighter pants instead of wearing loose pants, and then we can work through those battles in other places, right? I don't necessarily have to worry about potentially souring this chase game that I'm teaching him. And that little bit of planning, it makes all the difference in how we set our puppies up for success.
Right.
So
I think too, like when I run away from my puppy, I'm not drawing attention to my legs. I'm trying to draw the puppy's attention up towards me. So I might be clapping up by my face. I might be hooting and hollering. So the puppy, as I'm running, I'm trying to keep the puppy engaged upwardsly. So my puppy doesn't look to my leg as the reward. My puppy's looking towards my face for the reward.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
your voice
think about that too. Yeah.
Your voice really attracts attention. So, and then if you have a dog that is really fixated on grabbing something, that's a great place to have a toy, right?
Yes.
Great place to have a toy and to direct that behavior so that you're using that to your advantage as well. It's going to feed your tug game that you're playing. So perfect. All right. So
another little game I like to play too. This one, it is a thinking game, but it's kind of one of those ones that if I'm really lazy and I don't say I have, or I'm not feeling well, I will take their kibble And if I'm not feeling well or I'm just really lazy, I might take their kibble and one at a time, ready, set, get it, and throw it out into the grass. And so now my dog's got to run out into the grass and use their nose to sniff for that kibble.
Okay.
And then as soon as they find that one, get it, and I throw another one, and they're like, oh, and they got to run and use their nose and sniff it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I might throw 2 or 3. I always call them kibble scrambles.
Kibble scramble. I love it.
I'll do it in the house sometimes too.
Yeah.
It's a good game for him. At 15, he can use his nose and he teeters around the living room and and looks for where I've thrown his kibbles. So that's a fun little thing to do with
for
him
sure.
too. Yes.
Well,
yes.
and using their nose tires them out so much. So if you actually are helping them to fully engage their entire body in seeking that thing,
right,
they're going to come out a bit tired in the end.
Yes.
So that's a great one.
I like it too because they look back to me because that's like they know the next kibble's coming from me. The kibbles aren't magically appearing in the grass.
Yeah.
The kibbles are coming from my throw. So it still keeps me in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
Because it's like, look, I got the kibble. Woo-hoo-hoo, which way is it going to go?
Yeah.
Get it. And they're like, oh, and then they look back again, like, where's she throwing the next one?
Oh, I can't wait. So in sort of along somewhat similar lines, but a little bit different, I will also do some sends to something. So whether we already talked about the digs around the tree, but I'll do this with my bed. Or my dog's bed, rather. I'll do this with their crate. I'll do it with their platform. So I define. I have beds in the home for their bed stay. And then I have a platform that I'll bring with me. I use it for field quite a bit. Basically the platform is just like those rubber mats duct taped together. And it just gives my dog a target to go to and to sit on. So if I really don't want to put a lot of energy into the training session, but I want my dog to get lots of... What do you think, Honda?
Honda says, I want to play that kibble game you spoke of.
I have ideas. Let me tell you. So those situations, I will teach my dog how to go to that thing.
Right.
And this is so practical because I then can use it in field where I say, okay, go to your place. And they go and sit on their platform. Obviously there's a little bit more training to it than what we're just glibly talking about here. But I can use that in field. I can use it for my bed stay in the house. I can use it if my doorbell rings and I want to send my dog to the bed, to their space, to their crate, whatever the case may be. This is a great thing to have established. So basically same thing as when I talked about digging around the tree. I start close. I work on building value to that for that thing. And then I'll start to back off of it. So they have to move farther and farther to get to the bed. And it's amazing how quickly the dogs pick up value for that object, whatever it is. I was actually just doing a little bit of this with Levon this morning, not with the purpose of tiring him out, but to actually teach him platform work. And it was a brilliant thing. Like so quickly he was like, nope, I don't want to come off this platform. This place is the best.
Right. Yeah.
And it was actually work to try to lure him slightly off the platform so that I could reinforce him going right back to the platform.
Yes.
But it very quickly and very, very thoroughly, he thought, okay, this platform is wonderful and I don't want to leave it, sort of thing. So now building distance is a piece of cake, and all that distance is going to help to mentally tire him out if I'm sending repetitively.
I found games like that were especially good with my Saluki, who was a sight hound, because they're not a breed that. They're not like a golden retriever that says like, what can I do for you? They're more like, what can I do for myself? Like more independent thinkers.
Absolutely.
So when I did games like that, she said she would think in her little brain, I'm sure, that, oh, if I go on this platform, Christine has to give me a treat. Therefore, I am in charge. So she liked to, I did a lot of nose tap work with her, and like I would put a duct tape X on the wall and she would go and tap it, and in the house, she would offer behaviors like that because I think she subtly thought that she was in the driver's seat because
that's so
it's
funny.
like, I'm going to go touch that with my nose and then look at Christine and say, like, come on, pay up the goods.
The cookie lady.
So,
hey, blonde lady.
Right,
I want a cookie.
So it was a neat way because I think she, technically she was doing everything I wanted her to do, offering behaviors, working with me. But I think in her little mind, she thought, look at me. Like I've trained Christine. Yes.
Yeah. Oh
so
my gosh.
It worked tremendously, I found, with her.
I did find that she had you well trained. She was a very good dog and a very good trainer.
There you go. But yeah, no, she was fat, like no problems at all with that dog. But it was a neat way that I think she felt that she had some power, but she really didn't, because the power was all me.
Of
because she was
course,
doing things I wanted her to do. Yes.
Yeah, but it really is powerful. If they're thinking, sometimes I can make a treat appear by doing this, and then they're able to make a treat appear by doing that. Like, that's a good level of conscious control of the situation.
It is, yes.
Like, it truly is. Very cool stuff.
Yes.
Dogs are brilliant.
They are.
They really are.
And it teaches them engagement with you too.
Yeah.
Like, I know, like, Honda will get treats for doing certain things in the house.
Yeah.
And you'll often, same thing. He'll run and he'll kind of look at us, and then he'll do it. And then he'll look like, hey, look, did you guys see what I did? Like,
come on.
Come over here.
Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, we get up and we run over.
Right.
Say,
yes.
Oh my gosh, you're so brilliant.
Right. Especially when they're 15. Like, once they hit a certain age, their rules kind of go out the window.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, you do things with them that you would never do with a young dog.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yep. They've earned their keep.
Yep. Exactly. At that time, Honda's looking for a new comfy space to hang out.
I think he can smell. There's a Kong with food in it, and I think he can smell the Kong with food in it.
Oh.
I think that's what he's looking around for.
He's going to have to put on his MacGyver hat to find it, because it's up on the table.
Yes.
Good boy, little Honda. All right, so a couple of other things. Trick training.
Trick training, yes.
Trick training is huge, and it's not going to, depending on what kind of tricks you're doing, actually. Some tricks are very mentally tiring for our dogs, but depending on what kind of tricks you are going to actually work on with your dog, it is something that is mentally very tiring for them.
Yes.
And that, Honda's making us laugh, that mental tire is often far more valuable than the physical tire.
Definitely.
I always say, the more you physically tire your dogs out, the more you need to physically tire your dogs out. Because just like going to the gym, right?
I have a good example. Yesterday, I had to drive my son and his girlfriend to the Toronto airport at rush hour.
Oh gosh, that's brutal.
And you know what? Just sitting in my car is not physical work at all. But I was mentally exhausted when I got home.
Yeah.
Because that was wild.
Yeah.
Like, my brain was having to look at everything and think and plan. And so, it was extremely mentally exhausting to sit on my butt in the car and drive.
Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you're just done after the fact. So if we give them good mental challenges, they will be feeling that exact same thing, just exhausted.
I should have had Honda drive. I don't know why. I should have had him drive.
He's a better driver too, I've heard.
Yes.
Yeah. So for tricks, I find that when I really want to tire my dog, I will go to shaping games. And shaping games, very similar to when we capture moments that we were just talking about, where the dog feels in control of the situation. With shaping, we're asking the dog to offer us something.
Right.
So eventually our goal is for them to offer us a little bit more towards the big goal. So you might have a trick in mind. Maybe I want my dog to wrap himself up in a blanket, right? So that's the end product. Where I would start would maybe be him looking at the blanket, then maybe moving towards the blanket. Then, I might shape through him getting onto the blanket, then I'm going to shape. So basically what I'm doing with shaping is I'm asking him for a little bit more of that behavior towards the end goal.
Right.
Or, maybe I want him to go and lie down underneath a chair.
Right.
So I'm going to start by rewarding him for looking at the chair. Then moving closer to the chair, I will stop rewarding just the look and wait for him to give me something a little bit more on that subsequent attempt, and then so on and so forth until he gets to the point where he's lying down under the chair, because that was the goal I set out with.
Right.
And
it's like building a cabinet. We just don't build the cabinet and it's there. We do, we do little steps. There's little steps. You put these two together.
Exactly.
Okay, that looks good and sturdy. Now let's move on to the next step.
Exactly.
Okay, that looks sturdy.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely. So, like, little guesses that are closer towards the goal.
Yes.
And that guesswork, that is mentally tiring for the dogs. It's fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. And the nice thing about shaping, I love it when I set out with this goal in mind, and then my dog starts offering something that I wasn't expecting at all, and I think, that's really cool. And I go off on that tangent. all right, you know what? You started doing this instead of what I was asking you to do or what I was expecting you to do. That's great. Now we have a new trick that I didn't even think about.
Right.
The dog came up with this one.
Yes.
What a smart dog.
Honda learned to do an army crawl backwards through shaping. Yeah. And it was something I wasn't setting out to do, but he was lying down and suddenly started crawling backwards, lying down. And I thought, oh,
that's cool.
I've just learned. Yeah, like this. Yeah. So, and he figured that out all on his own. He offered it on his own. I captured it after, through the shaping. And that's one of his best tricks. You can army crawl backwards for quite a distance.
I love those moments. They are so cool. Yes. It's so cool. And I love it when I know that my dog has had a hand in coming up with whatever the thing is that we were teaching in those moments. Shaping is really cool.
It is.
Such a cool thing. Yes. Yeah, I definitely recommend everybody looks into shaping and figuring out how to shape with their dogs, because it really, it unlocks a whole other world of possibilities.
And there's no right or wrong, which makes it nice.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very much like the hot and cold game, but we don't focus on the cold at all. We just tell the dogs when they're warmest. Right. Disco.
I like that hot and cold game.
Yeah, me too. I haven't played since I was a kid. Let's go play after we're finished recording the podcast.
Hot and cold, yes.
Hot and cold. We'll do it. All right, so tricks, fabulous. But you can also, it doesn't have to be shaping. You can also do luring with tricks. You can do all sorts of different ways of training tricks, and they're very beneficial, not just in that they will drain energy, but also tricks are great for helping your dog learn how to communicate with you. It gives us extra opportunities to give them a chance to read us and learn how to read us and learn all our learning systems, right? Like if my dog understands how to shape, then I can go about shaping, right? So he's got that learning system in his head. If my dog understands how to lure, then I can teach things through luring. He's got that learning system in his head, right? I want a dog that is able to guess at things when I don't give them clear direction. If I say sit, my expectation is sit. You better not start guessing that I want a down or a stand or whatever. That's not going to get reinforced in that situation. I'm going to make sure that you hold the sit in that scenario. But if I say, all right, let's just do something, and I let my dog have that opportunity to guess at something, it's going to be fabulous. But I could also take control, and I could just play with luring with him. I could, I can work on specific tricks that are easy to lure, like a spin, for example, or shake a paw is a really easy one to lure by just luring the dog's balance off a little bit. And when they pick their paw up off the ground, you take a hold, you say yes, and you reward it. Dogs learn to shake very quickly. A lot of dogs will actually offer paws as well, very readily. I've had a lot of paw-y dogs. So, the other thing that I thought that is a big go-to for me is climbing and exploration. And this is something that you can do on a big scale or you can do it on a small scale. So sometimes I will take, the 12 Buble 12-pack Buble boxes.
Oh, I love Buble. I know I'm cheating today. I have Perrier because it was on sale, but it's no Buble.
It's no Buble.
New
Buble. It's new Buble.
It won't be purchased again.
Oh my gosh, don't tell the Perrier people that.
No, Buble is far better than Perrier.
Yeah, I love my Buble.
Change my mind.
So this is why I often have cases of Buble just hanging around, waiting for their opportunity to shine one day and be drunk.
Right. Other people have beer. Cases of beer.
Cases of beer will work too. But I'll take a case of Buble, and with Levon, I'll have him climb on the case of Buble, and then I'll turn it around and I'll have him climb on the smaller edge, and then I'll ask him to sit there. And he's at the point now where it's really physically hard for him to do because he's much bigger. But he's been doing it since he was a puppy. And there's so much value to this. Oh my goodness. It's hilarious to think, like, why would you have your dog climb on a case of pop like that? Or Buble. Right. Not pop, but same
it could
thing.
Be a case of pop as well.
Could be a case of pop. You know what? You can use a case of pop if you don't have any Buble. Why would you have your dog climb on a case of Buble or pop? What do you think?
Well, it's mental stimulation and physical. It's physical. It's you and the dog working together to do something together.
Absolutely. And I love the confidence building that it helps bring about. Like, there's so many benefits to, I go to the park and there's a landscaping rock there and I help my dog climb up onto the rock. If they're a puppy, I'm going to lift them down
Right, yes.
because I don't want to encourage big impact.
Right,
when
yes.
I
I
have a
might
puppy.
even put my hand on their collar just to steady them up there in case they decide
good
to go
idea.
airborne.
Yep, absolutely good idea.
But-
Keep
and
control for
the
sure.
dogs love it.
They do.
Like
Yeah.
doing simple things like that. Dogs love it. Like finding a fallen log and having them walk across it. It seems so simple to us.
What rolls downstairs? The loner in pairs.
Yeah. But even think of things that little kids enjoy. Often our dogs enjoy the same things.
Yeah.
And when you go to the park, you encourage your children to climb on a log, to climb on a rock, to climb on the climbers. So why wouldn't we with our dogs too?
Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
And actually, on that note, those kids' parks can have some really cool stuff for climbing and exploration for sure. So always be safe with your pup, of course. Keep things low, but like I have pictures with Ned of him up with his front paws up on the little horses that have the coils under them at the parks, and they go back and forth, and like having him put his front paws up on that and it moved a little bit, and like stuff like that. It's so simple, but it's so good for confidence building, and it's so good for just getting some mental work and some physical work done with the dog.
And you can see the dogs are proud of themselves.
Absolutely.
Yep. Like you can see that they're like it's funny. Like even now, he loves to put his feet up on. We have a stool. And if I move the stool around to step on it, he'll run over often and put his 2 front feet up on it. And you can just see he's very proud of himself that he's up there. Yeah.
Oh, it really can be like such a game changer for dogs. Our parkour program is all about building confidence with the dogs. It's all about stuff like this, right? Having them interact in a controlled way with different things that might make them go, oh, I'm not so sure about that. Why would I get on top of that?
Right.
And then when they learn that they can, and they come out of it, and they go, I am powerful.
Right.
Like, that's amazing.
You can see the change.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or crawling under a chair or things like that.
Silly, but so fun and so good.
Uses different muscles, and it's such a good thing to do with your dog.
And it's engagement with your dog.
Right. And so many people just get dogs and do nothing with them. And why? Like, why? Like, there's so many things to do with your dog.
There really, really are. And they don't have to be organized and elaborate. They can just be super simple things.
Right. Yes. Like, just, go to the forest and, look for things to get your dog to hop up on.
And look for the fairy nymphs.
Right. Yeah. Like, there's just so much stuff out there. Yes. Yeah. Even if you live in the city, there's, parking curbs, there's bleachers,
benches.
Right. There's all kinds of things to interact with in the city as well. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. The sky really is the limit.
It is.
It really is.
Yes.
All right. Well, any other fun games that you like to incorporate into your, I need to get some energy drained from this dog moments?
I'm trying to think. We've covered, so many of the big ones. Yes.
You know what one I forgot? And we really can't not talk about? What's that? Recall games.
Oh, recall games.
Games. They definitely tire and train.
Yes, I thought about that when we were talking about getting the puppy to chase you. Yeah. Because that's how I start the recall, is getting the puppy to chase me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Blends right into that so beautifully, eh? Yes. But even just doing, like, if you're doing recall games, if you have somebody to work with that can restrain the dog, and you do some restraint recalls in one direction, and then when the dog gets to you, you reward, you turn them around, you do it in the opposite direction. I will try to do this with my puppies when they are babies in a hallway, so that they get used to the idea of running to me, etc.
Right, yes.
But the chase games lead into that so beautifully as well.
Especially if sometimes too, as they get good at it, I'll sometimes have my person restrain, and I'll run out and I'll hide behind a bush.
I love it.
Now the dog has to, it's easy for them to find me, but it's making them think, where are they? And
it's a good thing for them to practice looking for us as well. So as long as you have a setup with the second person where it's going to be safe.
Yes.
I love that game, and I'll keep talking after I call. So as long as I know that the dog is en route to me, I'll be like, I'm over here, come find me over here, just to make sure that they don't get confused in that situation.
Or
I love that too.
Or it's like hide and seek, and they go, oh well, let's not find them.
We'll leave them there.
Shannon doesn't show up for work.
Is that why I spent so many hours alone in the closet as a child?
Your mom's like, let's play hide and seek, Shannon. You hide.
And then she would go take a nap.
Right, yeah.
Oh, thank goodness I could rest. See, now you don't have to resort to that with your puppies.
Right, yes.
You have lots of games to play. And on that note, I'm Instructor Shannon.
Instructor Swanee.
Happy training.
Happy training.
The McCann Dogs Podcast is brought to you by McCann Professional Dog Trainers. we help dog owners to have a well-behaved, four-legged family member. Please give us a call at 905-659-1888 or visit us at mccanndogs.com. Happy training!